Thank you for clicking on this video. Remember to like, share and subscribe to continued stories. Also remember to click the notification bell so you can be notified whenever a new content is uploaded. In examining specific countries that have lowered their age of consent, it becomes evident that the motivations are often deeply entrenched in cultural practices. For instance, in some regions of South Asia, the practice of child marriage is prevalent, with girls being married off as young as 12. These marriages are often justified by cultural norms that prioritize early marriage as a means of ensuring security and stability for young girls. However, the reality is that these practices expose children to a myriad of risks, including early pregnancy and domestic violence, while also stripping them of their childhood. The issue of underage sex and the sexual exploitation of children is a troubling reality in various parts of the world, where the lowering of the age of consent has become a contentious topic. This documentary explores the countries that have adopted such laws, the motivations behind these decisions, and the consequences for children, families, and society as a whole. In examining the landscape of age of consent laws, it is crucial to understand what the age of consent represents. It is the minimum age at which an individual is considered legally capable of consenting to sexual activity. In many countries, this age has been set at 16, 17, or 18 years, reflecting a societal consensus on the maturity required for such decisions. However, in some nations, this age has been lowered to as young as 12 or 13, often under the guise of cultural practices, historical precedents, or misguided attempts at modernity. Countries that have lowered their age of consent often do so amidst a backdrop of cultural, economic, and political complexities. In some cases, the justification for this reduction is rooted in traditional practices or beliefs that view early marriage as a norm. In others, economic instability and poverty play a significant role, as families may view the marriage of young daughters as a means of financial security or social standing. These motivations often obscure the severe implications for the children involved. One of the most glaring benefactors of low age of consent laws is the network of individuals and organizations that profit from the sexual exploitation of children. Human traffickers, for instance, exploit these laws to groom and manipulate young individuals into sexual servitude. They prey on vulnerable populations, often luring them with the false promise of love, financial support, or a better life. The lowering of the age of consent creates a legal gray area that traffickers can exploit, making it easier for them to operate without fear of prosecution. Corruption plays a significant role in perpetuating this cycle of exploitation. In many countries, law enforcement agencies are often underfunded, poorly trained, or complicit in the very crimes they are meant to prevent. Bribery and corruption can lead to a lack of accountability for those who exploit children, allowing perpetrators to evade justice. In some instances, local authorities may turn a blind eye to these activities, either due to personal gain or the belief that such practices are culturally acceptable. This corruption not only hinders the enforcement of laws designed to protect children, but also perpetuates a culture of silence and complicity. The effects of sexual exploitation on children are devastating and far-reaching. Victims of exploitation often suffer from severe psychological trauma, leading to long-term mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. The physical repercussions can be equally dire. with many victims facing sexually transmitted infections, unwanted pregnancies, and other health complications. Furthermore, the societal stigma surrounding sexual exploitation often leaves victims isolated and without support, compounding their suffering. The implications extend beyond the individual, affecting families and communities. Families may find themselves torn apart by the shame and trauma associated with exploitation. Children who are victims may struggle to reintegrate into society, facing discrimination and ostracization, and this creates a cycle of poverty and despair as families lose their primary income earners or face social repercussions that hinder their ability to thrive. In Latin America, several countries have also faced scrutiny for their age of consent laws. In some nations, the age of consent is set as low as 12, creating an environment where exploitation can thrive. Here, poverty and lack of education contribute to the vulnerability of children, making them easy targets for those looking to exploit them. The normalization of such exploitation is often perpetuated by societal attitudes that dismiss the seriousness of these crimes, viewing them as a part of life, rather than a violation of fundamental human rights. The international community has recognized the need to address these issues, with organizations like UNICEF and various non-governmental organizations working tirelessly to combat child exploitation. These organizations strive to raise awareness, provide support to victims, and advocate for stronger laws and enforcement mechanisms. They work to educate communities about the rights of children and the importance of protecting them from exploitation, emphasizing that every child deserves a safe and nurturing environment. However, the path to change is fraught with challenges. Efforts to reform age of consent laws often face significant pushback from those who believe that cultural practices should be preserved. Additionally, the entrenched systems of corruption and poverty can make it difficult to implement meaningful change. Advocacy groups must navigate a complex web of social, political, and economic factors in their quest to protect children. As the documentary unfolds, it becomes clear that the fight against the sexual exploitation of children is not just about changing laws. It is about changing mindsets. It is about fostering a culture that values and protects the rights of children, recognizing their inherent worth and dignity. It is about creating an environment where children can grow, learn, and thrive without the threat of exploitation hanging over them. In conclusion, the lowering of the age of consent in various countries has far-reaching implications for children and society as a whole. It creates an environment ripe for exploitation, benefiting a network of individuals who profit from the suffering of the most vulnerable. Corruption and cultural practices further complicate the issue, making it essential for the international community to take a stand against these injustices. The fight against child exploitation requires a multifaceted approach, one that addresses the root causes and advocates for the rights and protection of children everywhere. As we shine a light on these issues, we must remember that every child deserves a future free from exploitation and fear. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in this content, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell.